Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 171 on my countdown to retirement. So, this morning I received an email from Norwegian Cruise Lines that said, print your boarding pass, otherwise known as eDocs. That was the form that I was waiting for after check in yesterday to be able to confirm what port I'm going to be leaving out of down at Southampton. So, I logged in and confirmed that the Norwegian Prima will be leaving from the Horizon Cruise Terminal in Southampton, England. So once that was confirmed, I started shopping around for the London Heathrow to Southampton cruise terminal for the transfers. And I looked at a variety of sites, and what I was finding was the vast majority of them were actually, I'll call them travel agents, but they're representatives for either individuals or others that are, providing shuttle service either with their own car or maybe they have a small fleet, whatever. I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to book with a company that actually owned their vehicles and controlled the quality of the vehicles, etc. So I ended up going with a company called Jules Airport Transport, Jules Airport Transfers, because they're not an agent, they actually own the fleet. And I selected what they call an estate vehicle type, which basically the different choices you were making was based on the amount of luggage you're bringing. And so this vehicle can hold 4 23 kilogram or 50.71 pound suitcases. In our case, I'm planning on bringing 2 regular suitcases and then 2 carry-ons. So I needed to have a vehicle that they would allow 4 suitcases to go into, in addition to like your personal item, right? A purse, a backpack, whatever it is. So I went with the estate vehicle, which in this case is going to be either a Volvo Estate, a VW Passat, or something similar. So the transfer ended up costing me 149 pounds sterling. And, before I went to book it, I went out to Morningstar and looked at the conversion calculator to go from British pounds to US dollars. And pretty much, it said it was going to cost me converted $200.22. So I went forward with the purchase. When it actually came through on my credit card, it came through at $202.48, which is a variance of $2.26 or 1.13%, which doesn't sound like much. But if you're planning on doing any substantial amount of purchases and you're buying in local currency and then doing the conversion back to USD, that could add up really quick. My credit card doesn't have things like foreign transaction fees or any other incremental fees that get added on. So this is the actual conversion rate, at least that the bank uses for going from local currency back into US dollars. Most of the things that I purchased online in USD, so I'd know exactly how much it was going to cost me up front. Anyway, I just want you to point out that if you are going to be using these online conversion tools, don't expect them to be accurate. I mean, you could be off by, I guess, a couple of percent either way. Anyway, then, once I got that done and I put through the order, I got the confirmation. They'll assign the driver to me, and I'll get an email from the driver introducing themselves so that I know who's going to meet me at the hotel. We picked a specific hotel location, a time frame, and then based on the time frame going down to the port, I should get to the port between noon and 12:30, which is the time that I specified during my check-in with NCL that I would be arriving at the port. And the person that I talked with also indicated that while they wouldn't let me in if I got there early, if I got there later, they would accommodate for that. So anyway, now that I've got that done, I feel like a big weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And, you know, you're probably thinking like, how hard could it be to, you know, book a trip and, get ready to go? Like for me, and maybe it's just the way I run my life or whatever, since I am a project manager, I try to plan things out. I like spontaneity, but like once I'm there, like I want to have at least a structure of how things are going to be going. So I've already got like my paperwork put together, and I'm going to look down so I can make sure that I don't forget any of these. But I had to get my UK ETA paperwork, which shows that we're approved for entry into the UK. I had to get my Geo Blue medical card, my MedJet Assist membership card in case we need to have a medical evacuation, my IMG trip cancellation and trip interruption policy info, obviously the flight info, the prepaid hotel voucher, the hotel to ship transfer receipt, the cruise e-docs, which is really the boarding pass to get onto the ship from Norwegian, my passport and driver's license, which I thought was really interesting that they actually wanted two pieces of information. The passport alone wouldn't do. You had to have some form of other photo ID to go along with it. That's the first time I've ever been asked for that by a cruise line, but that's what they wanted. Um, and then all of my prepaid excursion tickets that I've planned for, and then the from NCL the ship to airport transfer voucher to get back from the ship to the airport in Reykjavik, Iceland. Then I need to add a bunch of apps to my phone. I've started doing that process already, but there's a variety of them that go along with all these things I just talked about that have an app that you need to have access to should you need to use any of the various policies or what have you. And then um, I need to add international phone coverage. I use Visible by Verizon. And so I need to go into Verizon and add the um, extension, or I should say, I need to go into Visible to add the extension for the world plan for when I'm out of town. It's going to end up being $10 a day per phone. So right now I'm only planning on activating it on my phone when we go out of the country. And then I plan on getting a data eSIM for my wife's phone because basically she uses all the data, plays games or whatever. But if I get her the eSIM with the ability to do hotspot, any devices that she takes that exceed Wi-Fi on the boat or whatever, she'll just be able to connect up, use the eSIM, and get the data that way. Um, and I won't have to pay. I mean, I'll have a defined cost, which is probably going to be for the plan that I've been looking at somewhere between 13 and 20 bucks, which is way less money than doing any kind of package on the ship. And then the only decision I still have yet to make is whether or not I'm going to add a VPN. I've looked at them, whether it's NordVPN or any of the other ones. I just haven't decided to pull the trigger yet because I just don't know if there's going to be a reason for me to access any of my accounts in the US while I'm away. I mean, I don't plan on it, so I'm trying to think of like, is it worth doing? I mean, if I was out of the country for a long period of time, like a couple of months, I would definitely do it. I'm just not sure that it makes sense on, a trip that's a couple of weeks. Anyway, um, like I said, I've been doing lots of planning. This for me, this will end up being, I don't know what the total is. I'm afraid to look actually, but by far, this is going to be the most expensive vacation my wife and I have ever taken in our entire life. And uh, and I've tried to keep the cost down, but not skimp on the things that I know that we want to do. So, um, you know, like I said, it's a bucket list. Well, it's a double bucket list trip for us because it knocks off both Norway and Iceland, both of which are on our list. So, um, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I've been paying for it as we go over this last year. So I'm hoping that before we actually leave for the cruise, I'll already have everything paid for. All the prepaids will be done, and then like the only additional expenses I'll see will be on, uh, you know, things that we buy when we're in country, or some additional drinks or whatever we might get that are additional on the cruise, or in country, whether we want to try some of the local foods there or whatever it is. Anyway, that's all I got to say for today. So that's my update for today. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section down below, or drop me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and until tomorrow, take care.